Hello and welcome to another Take 10 video here at City Harvest Apostolic Ministries. We've been discussing the process to knowing our purpose in God. Today's topic is about examining and shifting our thinking. In our last video, we talked about how humans plan in their hearts which way they will go in life, but God determines their steps according to Proverbs 16 verse 9 and Proverbs 19 verse 21. We talked about the fact that there are mountains that God has sometimes put in our way, but they're not to discipline us or to keep us from our destiny. They're actually there to help us to learn to trust Him in order that we might let go of our own plans and our own ways and seek after God and His ways. In between sleep and wake this morning, the Lord spoke to me about this week's topic of regarding purpose. He said that if we want to know our purpose, then we need to shift our thinking from focusing on evil and instead focusing on what is written in Philippians 4 verse 8, which says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things." In the last couple of Take 10 videos, we've talked about being grafted into the vine and God changing the fruit that we bear on the vine from bad fruit to good fruit, and then allowing God to determine our steps instead of our own. All of these things mean that we are actually maturing in our faith. To mature in our faith, we need to change our thinking. When the Lord spoke to me this morning about shifting our thinking, He also gave me a picture of what this might have meant. He gave me the picture of snakes writhing, slithering, and moving over one another. This is the picture that He chose to show me regarding what our evil thinking, what we focus on in our minds, means to Him. So as I was writing this particular video out on paper to follow, I was reminded of what King David wrote in Psalms 139 and verse 23. "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me at all. Lead me in the way everlasting." If you would like to know God's purposes for you, and believe me, there are many purposes that God continually shows me for other people in the prophetic, then He wants you to then shift your thinking from anything that is not godly to only filling your mind with the knowledge of Christ. Ask God, according to Psalms 139 verse 23, to search your heart and remove thinking about anything that would stand in the way of godly thinking. If you find something that your mind goes to that is ungodly, then use 2 Corinthians 10 verse 5 to take your thoughts captive daily until they're all gone. So 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, "We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." As I said before, this is a process. I've never heard the voice of God more clearly than I do right now. I realized that it had everything to do with my maturing in the faith and no longer being anxious about anything, which is in Philippians 4 verse 6. And it says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And then the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. When I say be anxious for nothing, I mean be comfortable in your own skin and stop being fearful, because that is what anxiety is. It's fear. It means accept yourself for who you are in Christ. It means that when we are at rest, then the peace of God that surpasses all understanding and all comprehension will rest on you, and you will start to hear the voice of God better for the plans and purposes that he has for you. When you start to put aside your own plans and your own purposes, God will guide you in his plans and in his ways and direct your steps to get where he wants to lead you. Can I say, brothers and sisters, that God has not made any of this process hard? We make it hard, because for many of us, the process of truly learning to trust God is hard for us, because we need to let go of what burdens us or what makes us anxious, such as not being anxious about anything. Where is my next dollar coming from? How will God do this? How will God do that? And so on. Instead, resting in God, resting in his goodness, resting in his provision, and resting in him guiding us in everything that we do. One last story to finish off this topic. I remember when I was preaching in the Bible Belt in the United States and just finished speaking over a few days over hundreds and hundreds of people. I remember sitting on the plane ready to come home, and I asked God why I could so clearly hear the voice of God for other people in words of knowledge, words of prophecy, healing, signs and wonders. God was moving wonderfully, but that I could not hear the God for myself and for my own life. So how could it be that I could hear so very clearly for so many other people, but not for me? And he graciously answered me while I was sitting on the plane, and he said, "You cannot hear me because your emotions are too loud." I know that when he was saying what he was saying to me was that I was too anxious about everything in my life, and that I was not trusting him. I was not resting in him at the time, in who I was as a person, and I was not resting in who he is to provide for me everything I need. I will leave that with you to ponder. Until next time, God bless you.